This is Josiah Plays Pillars of Eternity, and I'm thinking this might be the final episode of a very, very long playthrough. Almost 200 parts. So here we go. We're talking to Theos. It's the final room, I think. It's the final boss, I think. The final conversation, I think. It's possibly all the final shit. Do-do-do-do. Okay, so here we go. Let's get serious again. So, Theos just said some shit about Mortal Instinct being diseased. I agree, but, let's give it some time to sort itself out.
You have devoted yourself to studying the work of my people. Why?
Theos turns his attention to the Big Amawa. Oh, by his people, he's talking about the Ingwithans. Nice.
I thought your people had much to teach us, as they have. They have taught me a much-needed lesson. No knowledge is worth the suffering that the Ingwithans brought upon others.
Kana lowers his gaze. See, so Kana has really learned an important lesson. He's really changed since the beginning of the game when we first met him. I mean, in terms of his outlook on things and his, perception of his life purpose.
And did you ever consider that these were things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you?
That's kind of a dick thing to say, Theos. I don't need to understand. I've seen what's become of your people. That's all the lesson I need.
You are living in the time of my people, Amawa. You owe them more than you will ever comprehend, and so it shall ever be. Greater civilizations than yours have attempted to reclaim what we buried. The greater their successes, the worse their fates in the end. I have seen to it.
I remember when I learned the Ingwithans were not totes awesome. Yeah, exactly. God, you're a dick, Theos. I'm going to enjoy jibbing you.
I understand your Duke's bells gave you a mission.
Theos' sudden attention causes Polygina's feathers to ruffle. Oh, she doesn't take no shit, Theos. You are not prepared for the sass you are about to get.
Their orders do not absolve me of my greater responsibility to the safety and well-being of the Republics.
Palagina lifts her head defiantly. Yeah, Dara's basically saying what I just said. You might want to skip over this one, Theos. Don't want to pick a fight you can't win.
Yet you disobeyed. Something you already have a reputation for. They will know, of course. If it had been for a worthy cause, they might have forgiven you. But I don't see them pursuing animancy after seeing what it's done here. They trusted you, and you disappointed, as you always have. And you will again be disowned.
I don't think Palagina gives any fucks.
The parents scold, but the children are safe. Whether animancy research continues in the Republics or not, they will survive. For now, that's enough. In any case, I wouldn't be so smug about my fate, Theos. I imagine Woodica responds to disappointment much more severely than even my dukes.
Oh, she just turned it around on you, son! You just got told! She takes a long step forward, a sinister smile spreading across her face. Theos returns the Devil of Karok's stare with contempt. He shakes his head.
A murderer given life beyond her body, beyond her own selfish purpose. My dear, you embody the very reasons Kith should not play with the tools of the gods.
Dude, you're gonna find out what a murderer she is in just a second.
Last I checked, it was your gods who set us up to destroy each other.
Your city was spared by a god. It was destroyed by Kith, who took matters into their own hands. Such are the excesses my order seeks to correct.
By tearing the souls out of little babies? That's some strong medicine.
She got you there, bro.
Strong and lasting, the way it must be. We do not indulge the whims of bloodlust as you do. All we do is for the sake of a cure.
The question, what gives you the right, comes to mind.
You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
Theos looks over your company, each one in turn. He directs his gaze at you. I guess he doesn't even want to fuck around with grieving mother, huh? Cold Morn wasn't a city, it was a town. So there, Theos. Your argument is invalid.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
What do you know of our business?
You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours.
Our business will conclude when you have told me all I wish to know.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
You've lied to everyone, yourself most of all.
I have no illusions about the costs involved. But what your brief lifespan obscures is that it is what must be done. The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Telosus into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin.
Yeah, so basically you're an asshole.
When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
I don't see how those other matters concern me. None of those places still exist.
Precisely. Their histories are droplets of water, falling into an endless sea. They are significant unto themselves for a moment, and then they are gone.
Ultimately, on a long enough timeline, buddy, that applies to you as well.
There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith.
Yeah, those gods suck.
But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
He's saying that a lot of good actually came out of them creating their own gods and offering them to the people, and I can see that that could be true. That is not my issue that I have with them, that the fact that they chose to create a set of gods, essentially, with their power or whatever, that's not the problem. It's all the butchery and stuff that he's done later in the name of those gods that's the problem. And the fact that now he wants to take all these souls and give them to Boudica so that she can be exalted over the other gods, that's also the problem. And I want his hat. Teaching them there were no gods would have achieved the same purpose. Sina says, I could too, right up until one of them threw a moon at the planet. Yeah, once your god started throwing tantrums, that's when we started having a problem with them.
And replaced it with one far worse. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she, Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves.
Don't they already do that?
But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is we would have freedom. Freedom to define ourselves, freedom to make our own path, freedom to forge our own future and create our own answers without having anything imposed on us from above and from without. See, you can spin it and make it sound really terrible or really good, depending on how, you know. Theos no longer looks at you as he speaks. The reflection of the ancient machine flickers and dances in his eyes. Yeah, and notice that music's starting up, too. See, now, if this was Planescape Torment, I could talk this guy into fucking, like, killing himself or talk him out of his own existence or something, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I don't think I get to solve this one by dialogue. Better that than live a lie. Sada says, reminds me of an old Assyrian tale, where a man finds a ring that makes him invisible and uses it to become powerful and terrorize others. There was no moral to the story beyond that of depicting human nature. Yeah, power corrupts, essentially. Better that than live a lie.
Telling yourself each day that what you do matters, that it isn't all for nothing, that the world is just. The apostate's world is built on believing lies. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
At least admit it. Admit to me that the gods are not true gods. I need to hear it from you.
You have not thought this through. There is no leaving this place for you. I allowed it once, but you have made it all too clear what a mistake my mercy was. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering.
By creating shitloads of suffering. That makes sense, buddy. No, Theos, not only am I going to leave this place, I'm going to leave it wearing your fucking hat.
Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
Theos puts his hands out low to either side, as though welcoming some unseen guest. He shuts his eyes and casts his face skyward. I think we're about to bang. Oh god, what's happening? Beyond nothing. I mean... Did my game just lock up? Or...
Roak 10!
Uh-oh. Oh, fuck. Are those really gonna come to life? That's amazing. Oh, oh my god, they are! That's amazing! Oh! Woodica's headsman! Woodica's judge! One's got an axe and one's got a hammer. Those are fucking awesome. And then there's Theos himself. Okay. Well, first thing that needs to happen is we need to get the fuck away from those. So, you. Run, 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 run. Actually, just everybody. Run, 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 run. Except for Adair. You're good where you are.
Following you.
I'm really glad there's not a whole ton of ads. I mean, these might be really powerful, but it's nice that there's only 2 of them. Alright, let's do this. It's time to bang. I'm not even... You know what? I'm not even gonna fucking summon anything or anything. I just want to try doing this without even using any special shit. Actually, you got to bless just to make it today. That's why we bless. Bless. You can go running up there. You can start blasting on Theos. Man, he's got some legit resistances. Let's pour the stuns on him.
Your thoughts must be...
Ring of the Ancient Forge! These things are probably... They're not immune to stun, they just have a big resistance. Oh, Theos is almost dead already. LOL. Yes! You just quoted Falling Down, which I thought of myself just a second ago, and I almost said it, but I wanted to say the other thing instead. Theos, now you're gonna die wearing that stupid little hat, which will soon be Katie's hat. Sato says, dude, the fact that you keep bringing up the apostate indicates just how much power her vision had. If her words were truly just sophistry, then it wouldn't haunt you so. Oh, shit! Yes, you just dropping some truth right there. Dropping science. That is hashtag dropping science is what that is. Okay. Yes, it even deserves a hashtag. That's how sciencey it is. Dude, this fight is not going to really be this easy, is it? Because LOL. We've got him stunned. Let's drop all the other status effects on him, too. Wait, what the fuck is everyone doing? Oh, they're confused. I'm like, why are these people standing around not doing what I told them to do? This dude is getting wrecked, though. Oh, he's down! Jibbed!
Aim.
Alright. Fuck you, statues. Let's do this. That's a huge resistance against prone. Alright. Yo, are you all done fucking around down here? Do you want to maybe get involved in this? That'd be great. Paralyzed cone. Bust out the Abaddon's... What's it called? Abaddon's labor. These motherfuckers are about to go into labor. Rogues. Do your thing. Let's pile it on this one. Wow. Wow. We are trashing everything here. This is almost disappointingly easy. Sato says, what's up with Katie and Grieving Mother? I think it was that they were confused. Won't Theos just come back again in another form? I mean, didn't he put all of his points into Kadak Mastery? I'm assuming there's going to be, like, something else after this. He's going to come back. That wasn't even his final form. I'm assuming. Because that was way too easy. Wahey.
I need
The rogues are working this one over.
God.
Alright, they're putting some pain on us. He's taking some damage. Alright, everyone on this one. G. Q. Just regular attack. Actually, second wind. Q. C. Going down, Rudica's judge. You're going down. Okay, well that was quite easy. At your feet rests the... That was quite an explosion that thing did when it died. At your feet rests the body of Theos, hollow, the dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden, now smoothed across his color-drained face. He didn't even tell us yet that the answer was inside us the entire time. I think that's the lesson we're going to learn here, though. His soul remains still for the moment, defenseless, its energy expended in defeat. It lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
All those lifetimes spent to preserve a single vital secret. I can't imagine having that much certainty.
I can't either, Kana. Kana looks down at the body, his head bowed.
Thousands of souls he has tortured. Would that he could live those sufferings 1,000 times himself.
Well, I don't know that we need to be that vindictive, but yeah, he should probably be stopped. The grieving mother's eyes are cold and hollow as she looks at Theos.
Theos followed his mistress's orders too well. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that he will remember this again one day after he makes it through the wheel.
Some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do. And ask yourself if it's worth it.
Adair's my favorite character in this game.
Think he got sick of it all after a couple thousand years? Or did Woodica keep him on the leash?
No, I think he was a fanatic, and he just was constantly driven by his mission. People like that, they don't get sick of it. We explore his soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Theos' soul. And where in Brackenberry, it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Ingwith as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like ages, rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, expanding slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out in the room you are standing in now, but it is new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them. All turned toward the great Adra pillar and the machine that encases it. I don't think she's fisting his soul. That's not part of what's happening here. Theos stands at the machine, and you are one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them, and fathers clasping their children's restless hands and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back toward the machine, your breaths constricted beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column, and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow, and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. So that's what happened to all the people. One by one, the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into gray heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above to the Adra pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous like some immense chrysalis, suspended in slow rotation as though it were being spun from the arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating, so bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it is looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement, and look back up to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of bright light as with a flash of light, bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs has passed, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Theos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Theos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it, and you are able to do with it as you please. Ah, shit, what are we gonna do with this soul? Return it to the cycle. Tear his soul apart. Banish his soul to Brith Aemon. Destroy all the memories contained within. Or different tear his soul apart. Man, this is tough. His lifeless giblets. Yeah, right, Saito? This is tough, actually. This is tough to decide. Alright, so first I'll decide what Josiah would do. What would I want to do here? I would return him to the cycle. I would return him to the cycle. And let him remember it and know that all he's done was in futility. His memory shall be his penance. Yeah, I would do that. Probably that's what Seraphina would do as well. That's true. You could be right, Saito. Maybe number 2 is the best option. It's time you were granted peace. Maybe that's what Seraphina would do. Or number 4. Destroy all memories contained within. I feel like Katie is a little bit less sweet about all of this, though. Nobody, neither of my characters nor me would ever banish his soul to Brith Aemon just because both of my characters value freedom very highly, and imprisonment just isn't a thing they're down with, really. I think Katie's just not having it, though. It's what I did for Grieving Mother. I like Grieving Mother. And I was sympathetic of Grieving Mother. I'm not sympathetic of Theos, really. Seraphina would be. She'd be sympathetic of anyone. But not Katie. This is an enemy. He chose to be my enemy. This is his fucking fate. We can't have him coming back doing this shit again. I'm not vindictive enough to want him to have some sort of eternal suffering, so number 5 is the only answer for Katie. You caused me great suffering, Theos. You do not deserve to exist. And I'll tear his soul apart. You reach out for Theos' soul, and you can feel its frailty and defeat, its texture like a coarse and threadbare cloth on the brink of disintegration. You insinuate yourself between the threads, pushing the weaving apart, unraveling the stitching until it is bereft of structure, a formless heap bound together by nothing at all. In its midst, you dedicate your focus to a single idea, and the idea is shatter. You concentrate, and as you concentrate, you feel a force building within your soul, an outward pressure that strains against containment, threatening to rupture your spirit. When you can contain it no more, you transfer it into Theos' soul all at once and release it there, a detonation of will that expands in all directions, driving out the remnants of his essence, scattering it into nothingness. You can feel his presence no more. Bye, Theos. And now I pick up his hat and place it upon my head dramatically. Hail to the king. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind. A word you spoke when you were one with Theos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine. Goodbye, Theos. The special lights are lighting up. Turn on your hot light. Nothing to loot.
Let's see what
I guess
we
there's no
got.
point in having loot right now since Theos right there. We jibbed him. Oh, his corpse would be there, but we jibbed him. Nothing to loot. Here we go. As you approach the machine, the path underfoot suddenly changes to a cobbled road. If you hadn't experienced visions like this already in Tir Evron, you'd be tempted to believe that the machine had sucked you into it and deposited you in the middle of nowhere. The sun blazes overhead, and the rolling meadows and thick forests on either side of the road could be anywhere in the Deerwood. A shrill cackle turns your head. Fucking Skane, what does he want? Standing next to you is a malnourished man, clad in a threadbare loincloth and manacles. His entire body is striped with lash marks, and there are scarred pits where his nose and ears should be. He stinks of stale sweat and unwashed filth. You notice someone wandering down the road, but the figure's back is to you. The scarred slave has your attention for now.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire.
This black eye is glitter. No, I think you're projecting, Skane. I think that's called projection. That's what you want.
You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrat House, those pompous dear wooden zealots, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response.
What do you want?
And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
He sidles closer, a sly grin on his wrecked face. His stench is overwhelming. What have they offered you? They gave me what I asked for. I wanted to fucking get down here, Sun and Shadow, so I could stop Theos. They gave me that. We're done. Okay, fine. You know, I don't need anything else. That's exactly what Pallegina just said. They offered us the means to stop Boudica and Theos. That's enough for me. Given the breadth of the iron manacle, it's amazing that he can raise his bone-thin arm. But he does, and he points to the person walking the other way along the road. Saito says, Skane, seriously, take a goddamn bath. I know, right? The only thing I'm asking of one particular god is that he fucking washes pits.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
Or are you trying to talk me into joining Team Boudica now after all this? Not just no, but hell no. You get a better look at the lone figure and realize that she's wearing robes, tattered and singed, but fine nonetheless. On her head is the silhouette of a broken crown. She continues walking, her pace slow but determined.
Finish the work Theos began. Strengthen Boudica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
Skane's voice becomes a hungry whisper. No, that's not even tempting, honestly. Given how she treats her servants, given how fucking crazy and power-hungry and just evil she is, even being her favored would be a very risky and probably ending in terrible shit proposition at best. Like, that's not even tempting, even if all you want is power. That's a terrible way to get power, because ultimately you wouldn't really have power. You'd still be at the beck and call of Boudica, and you'd still be subject to her whims and her will, and your favor could be taken away at any time. So no, that's just dumb. It's just dumb. Even if I were a total sociopath, which arguably I might be, the jury's still out, but even if I were a total sociopath, I wouldn't pick that option because it's stupid. What does Katie have to say? She has to say... helping Boudica would mean that the secrets of the gods stay hidden. He rubs his hands together, his black eyes gleaming.
Safely hidden, yes, from the violent overlords who would cease to fear punishment in the next life. From the heavy-handed masters who would answer to no one. The world needs some schemes. Or are the souls of Kith so pure that you would snap the tenuous threads that bind society?
No, but I don't think people need gods to bind society. They use the gods as excuses to enforce the values that they already feel within themselves. You can eliminate gods from that equation and they'll still enforce the values, in my opinion.
I like not his manner, Katie, but I know the power of a good tale, of belief in something larger than ourselves. The people of Engwith gave up their souls freely to prove it. Perhaps he has a point.
No, he doesn't have a point. How the fuck are you agreeing with this, Kana? I expected better from you. Alright, just to ask the question out of pure curiosity, not because I'm tempted in any way, what do you mean by her favored? Yeah, she's offering you to become the new Theos. Exactly, Saito. And how did that work out for him? God damn it. Where's your voice acting, Skane?
The recipient of Boudica's blessings, she has always had a place for mortals of particular merit. If you help her now, she will become the most powerful of all the gods, and you will be the one who made her so. Think of the lifetimes of reward you would reap.
No, no, I don't want her kind of reward, thank you. Pelagina steps towards Skane.
Equal parts madness and idiocy. Why would we form an alliance with one who has opposed us at every turn?
Saito said, think of the hats you will be blessed with. Oh no, now I am tempted. Skane turns his flinty eyes on Pelagina.
So says your companion who's been abandoned by her own country. Do you really trust her to make alliances for you?
I've been working against Boudica this whole time. Why would she thank me now after I've defeated her most loyal servant?
The ragged hole in Skane's face wrinkles with disgust.
Loyal and weak. Theos proved his inadequacy when he failed to anticipate you. A plan exposed is worse than none at all. But you have proven resourceful, equal to the schemes of gods. Boudica has a long memory, Watcher, for both friends and foes, and she keeps her oaths.
Yeah, don't care. I am not even 1% convinced. You failed, Skane. Go back to fucking wallowing in your own filth. Skane takes a bundle at his feet and hefts the burden onto his back.
I've explained the alternative, Watcher. Continue as a pawn of the gods or a partner of one.
Dude, how fucking deluded are you if you don't think that being the favored of Boudica would still be a pawn? Even more of a pawn. A pawn firmly placed in hand. With power would come responsibility. You would be her most favored, but you would also be the one that she commanded to do the most shit. At the other end of the road, the figure stops. She turns her head just enough to look over her shoulder. Her face is mostly hidden, but one merciless eye peers at you from a cheek of rippled, scorched flesh. I won't help you. Not even hard to determine what to say there.
You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
He laughs. He continues down the road, and when the sun suddenly drops below the horizon, it plunges you into momentary darkness. You come to your senses in front of the machine. All these evils we've seen, going all the way back to the Saints' War, that was all Wurika. Imagine if she was stronger on top of it all. Right, Adair? That's what I'm saying. Oh, look, they all want to talk to me. Oh, damn. Except Devil of Karok. She's like, I'm good. I'm going to talk to her anyway.
That was a fine bout of murdering. Shame you've already got the gods yammering their fancies in your ear.
I love you. That was a fine bout of murdering. Nice. No shit. We murdered the fuck out of that dude. She looks around the cavernous chamber as if daring them to counter.
I ain't gonna add to the racket except to warn you. Don't go hitching your fate to theirs. You saw how that turned out for old Theos.
That's what I'm saying. We are on the same page, DOC.
Right here.
The same page. Alright, Adair.
Hey.
What do you want to say? A quick save real quick. Quick save quick. Quick save quick, quick, quick.
Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him?
I got an answer to an old question.
Well, those can be hard to come by, but maybe that's best. Forces you to find your own footing.
Saddles a scheme. There's a Bed Bath & Beyond in Defiance Bay. Just go there, get some mellow Dubai bath bombs. Here, I'll even pay for it. Adair grins. Yeah. Did you find your answer is the real question, Adair.
You'll be feeling better soon, then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that?
He looks up at the machine. Yes.
Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it.
Oh, don't worry. I've got good news and bad news, denizens of the world. The good news is you have not been abandoned by your gods. The bad news is your gods do not exist.
If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd find a way to give them the courage to face it. Not because they think there's some god looking out for them, but because they've just got it in them.
I agree.
And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good.
He winks. Is he essentially saying the same thing that I'm planning to do, which is to strengthen their souls using the souls that were taken? I think so. What's up, Palagine?
So much for Theos, then.
Yeah, he got owned. The membranes of Palagina's golden eyes sweep out and retract as she gazes into the great machine.
Now you have a chance to set things right, back to the proper order of things. It will take the Deerwood generations to recover, but at least these souls will find their way back to the wheel, as it should be.
Ooh, back to the wheel is not really my plan. Kana?
We've come to the end of it, my friend. It has been an honor to walk this road with you, and I will regret our parting.
What do you mean our parting? You're coming back to Cadnua with me to, like, be part of the servants. I need a bard. Kana, you're my only friend with bardsmanship. You can't go.
You have saved yourself against all odds. I was never so stout-hearted. I fear something has faded in me. Or else I simply have need of rest after this long year. But I will remember your example.
Kana studies you for a moment, then smiles.
Victory agrees with you, Katie. You look as if a great weight has lifted from your shoulders. I am glad for it.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Theos may be gone, but his crimes, the wounds he has inflicted, remain.
The grieving mother closes her eyes and gives you a single deep nod.
And yet, if we would free ourselves from his legacy, you must first free the souls he has trapped. His work cannot be undone. Chaining these souls to broken lives will only prolong it.
So once again, she's saying, do not put the souls back into the Hollowborn bodies. The chimes at her wrist sound as she knits her fingers together. You're right.
It is not the easy choice, Watcher. But much ill comes from forcing the world into a shape that does not fit it. We must allow for the mercies of the cycle to heal the lost, and live with our wounds for a time.
Farewell. I think she wants us to put him back in the cycle as well, same as Pallegina. But we're not going to put him back in the cycle. I don't think we are. I think we're going to stick with what we told Galawain and crew we were going to do. The machine resonates with the energy of thousands of souls. Standing near it makes your head spin. Alright, let's do another quick save. And let us go to make our final decision. What color-coded ending will we choose? No, I don't think this is Mass Effect.
Right.
Although it is, like, similar to Mass Effect and also, fucking Deus Ex Human Revolution. You get to the end and there's, like, this big decision you have to make that determines the ending. With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Theos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You have seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It is a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be a simple matter for you to influence that direction. Though as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. I will speak the command to activate the machine. There was a shrieking of stone grinding against stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. You have only moments before the souls will be set into the Adra vein. This will be your only chance at redirecting them. Alright, disperse to an unknown location. That's what Wall wants. Allow the souls to pass through the vein to Wutica. That's what Wutica wants. Distribute the essence to existing souls in Deerwood to strengthen them. Entropically disintegrate the souls, ending their existence. That's what Remergond wants. Return the souls to the bodies they were intended for. That's what Helia wants, but Grieving Mother strongly doesn't want. Send the souls back into the reincarnation cycle. That's what Bareth wants. That's what I, as a player, would do. That's what Seraphina would do. That's what Pallegina and apparently somebody else in my party wants. But Katie told Galawain, Mogren, and Abaddon that she was going to distribute the souls to the Deerwood, and I think that's also what Adair wants. And that is what I think, for her, is the right thing to do. The best thing, as far as she can see it. Make the existing people stronger. So that's what we're going to do. Sato, yeah, I've been non-lethal this entire playthrough and sought to preserve all the lives on this station. Now I'm going to blow it up because lol. Yeah, right? Alright, so here we go. Number 4. Distribute the essence. And you get a soul, and you get a soul, and you get a soul. You close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when it feels as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. You're tearing me apart, Lisa! No. In that moment, the fucking room. Have you seen the room? In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction. Oh, did we just end the game? We might have just ended the fucking game.
The ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. with a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last.
This is cool.
After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Theos used to enter Sun in Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Theos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood.
If we could tunnel through it, why didn't we tunnel through it from the other direction?
The essence gathered in Sun and Shadow was sent across Deerwood to meld with and galvanize the souls of its people. In the days that followed, Deerwoodans, confronting adversity and expecting to be at the mercy of their own weakness, instead found strength and the will to persevere.
This is making it sound like I did a good
found
thing.
themselves able to carry on after their losses. The desperate found new reasons to
This
hope.
is making it sound like I did the best
And the
thing.
new reasons to hope were many, for Widewind's legacy had come to an end after 15 years. Hollow births ceased in the Deerwood, and a country that only days ago had seemed on the brink of collapse was suddenly on the path to a recovery.
You're welcome.
A fitter, more resilient country in the preferred image of the god of the hunt. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area.
You're welcome again.
In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future.
You take the good with the bad.
Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But once the dozens had regrouped in the wake of the riots, they quickly put an end to the criminal activity, patrolling the streets in droves and administering their brand of law on any perceived offenders. They also took the opportunity to depose the weakened Knights of the Crucible from their position of authority, branding them traitors to the people for their actions during the riots. Whatever knights weren't stoned to death in front of their keep were forced into exile. The external contingent of knights stationed at Fleetbreaker Castle would remain there, their high justice plotting the city's recapture.
You're welcome again.
The dozens would soon find themselves overwhelmed by the problems of a leaderless metropolis, and in the days and months ahead, Defiance Bay remained on the brink of collapse.
Okay, so I might have fucked that up.
The destruction of the machine atop Ter Noaneth spelled the end of the reanimated corpses in Heritage Hill. Though at first few were willing to venture into the abandoned district, it was soon cleaned out and rebuilt. The district's horrors still fresh in people's minds, it would be some time before it was fully repopulated. But eventually the lure of cheap prime land would all but erase the memory. The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an Animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few Animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of Animancy, and that the purging of Animancers in Defiance Bay had been enough to satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving Animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. Abidun's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice.
You're welcome.
Additionally, Abidun's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Air Glanfoth rose.
Oops.
As for Stalwart, The Battle of Kairon's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan's steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Raid Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The battle against the Eyeless left Stalwart more hostile than ever toward the ogres in its midst, and the villagers grew bolder as they grew more prosperous. After a handful of bloody skirmishes, the Flames That Whisper clan left the Russet Wood to seek a quieter, more isolated home in the White March.
See ya, ogres.
While many such places existed in the mountains, the crossing was treacherous, and the ogres often found themselves embattled with other clans whose territory they passed. Less than half of the Flames That Whisper survived the journey, but those that did found a haven far from Kith lands. Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east.
That's sad.
She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves.
Oh, this is sad.
Zawa came to believe that the Dakan had survived through him. He returned to Ishamiddle, where he united a number of small, vulnerable tribes under the beliefs of his people. He called them Takanakin, kin of Takan, and under his tutelage, they became strong enough to resist would-be conquerors. Zawa taught his secrets not to one chosen person, but to all, that the line of knowledge might never be broken.
Oh, I like his ending. His ending's
Free
good.
from the burden of her memory, Maneha soon left the gift-bearers and resumed adventuring. Now that she had a taste for the world, she wanted to experience it anew. Maneha rediscovered her zest for battle, extravagance, and romance. She kept her gaze on the horizon, looking from one journey to another more distant, from the lover in her arms to another more fervent. Hers was a life of excitement, violence, and passion. She moved too quickly for regret to catch up with her, and she hoped only that she might outpace it in the next life as well.
Alright, I like her ending too for her. The Fortress of Cadnua emerges
after the death of the Master below. A strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Ad-Nua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Ad-Nua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Pelagina had followed her orders from the Duke's bells, helping establish an exclusive trade arrangement between the Valian republics and the tribes of Erglanfath. Strengthened by the Watcher's gift of souls, the furious Deerwoodens waged war against the republics for 2 long years. The republics gained a great deal of wealth in trade, but suffered the loss of many trade vessels and thousands of lives. Several of the ducal families lost favor with their citizens. Riots in Salona claimed the life of that city's duke, and the other duke's bells were pressured into relinquishing their exclusive trade rights to end the conflict with the Deerwood. Pelagina had been honored for her service at the opening of trade, but her reputation among the dukes and within the Brotherhood was not tarnished by what followed. With your business concluded, Haravius quietly took his leave and headed home to Thane Bog. The elders of the Fisher Crane had not warmed to Haravius in his absence, and when he arrived, he was denounced and scorned.
Oh, that sucks.
Haravius spoke of his deeds and of his communion with Galawain, yet none would support his petition to return to the tribe. One by one, starting with the oldest, Haravius challenged each member of the council to single combat, humiliating the Riau in a series of savage duels.
I like this.
With half the council bloodied and shamed, the elders at last acknowledged Haravius' strength, announcing him a hunter of the Fisher Crane tribe. Upon being granted this title, Haravius calmly left the village and embarked again on his life of wandering.
Okay, I like his ending. It's good.
Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Deerford, which, like many towns in the Deerwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it was the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adair was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Deerford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Scanites from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Deerford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adair's childhood, the one worthy of its name. When the dust settled in
I
sun
liked
and shadow,
Adair's ending too.
Aloth looked upon the remains of Theos Ix Arcanon, his former master. He saw where the Grandmaster had gone wrong, and he knew what he would do better. The secret of the gods would be preserved, and with it, the sanity and well-being of all Kith. He donned the remains of Theos' ceremonial garb and prepared himself for the long and
What the
lonely
fuck?
task ahead.
Okay, now that's a
With the Watcher's
shocker.
goals accomplished and his own vows fulfilled, Kanarua sailed back to Tekoa. His friends and family found him much changed, for a pall had fallen upon the man,
No, Saito.
smothering his former enthusiasm. Called before the Lore College, Kana told them of the pain the Engwithan legacy brought to the lands abroad. He insisted that a search for answers abroad could only fragment the Rawatai people, as it had done to the Deerwood. His findings were met with much respect, and Kanarua's voice came to be considered an influential one in the growing move towards Rawatai's isolation. With Theos defeated and the souls released from sun and shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. Pleasant and peaceful memories rose to fill the cracks in the grieving mother's mind. She returned to the birthing bell, unaware that the village nearby had become an empty desolation in her absence. Thus she began her tireless vigil atop the Adra,
This is sad.
awaiting mothers and children who never came. Durance used Magrin's
Oh, her
strength
ending
only
sucks.
until Theos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. In her 4-month
his is
journey
not so
back to
good.
Nositoc, Sagani found that the landscape she traveled had become strangely colorless, the food bland and unsatisfying. She watched the Deerwood, Air Glonfoth, the Valian Republics, and the lands beyond slide by with a dull sense of dread. She returned home to great celebration, yet the words of joy and congratulations
Poor Sagani.
rang
Her
hollow
ending
to
sucks
her.
too.
Old beloved songs sounded toneless. The rituals of changing seasons became drudgery, and Sagani experienced her life back in Masuk as if in someone else's skin. So she fought to feel the worth of her actions, or at least to let her village feel them. She led ever longer and more ambitious hunts, mentoring the younger rangers who followed her. On one such expedition, her party was beset by a blizzard, and she pressed on where her companions turned back. She did not return to Masuk. For you, the death of Theos brought an end to your waking visions, and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
Wow. Credits? Okay. Holy shit. That is how you end a game. People that make RPGs, take note. That is how you end a game. That was a lot of information about what happened as a result of your choices and what happened to each and every one of your companions. A lot of games do not do that. They don't give you that information and you're just left hanging at the end. That was really good. Really good. Okay, so... Saito gave me the posts about what that one slide said. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every Thane and Earl of Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwooden inns. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. Alright, cool. Thank you, Saito. I appreciate that, because I totally missed everything that one said. Okay, wow. So, good job, Eric Finstermaker, and Carrie Patel, and Olivia Veras, and Chris Avalon. It's amazing. And everyone else, Josh Sire. Oh, George Dykes did a little bit of the writing as well. He's also a really good game writer. So, okay. During the credits is where I talk about the games. I feel like I have a lot to say about this one. This was a very, 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 very long playthrough. Very long. I feel like I've been playing this game forever. I started off playing this game for 50 hours straight, and now I finally finished it. Some great voice acting in this game, some great writing, great music. So, how do I feel about this game? Wow, it's complicated. Honestly, there was a time when I was really sick of this game. When I came back to start my playthrough over, I didn't want to. I didn't want to play this. And when I started playing it, I was bored with it. I was sick of it. I didn't want to keep going. It just felt like a chore. There was a time when I was playing this that I was just grinding through it. And then that changed. And I started really enjoying it again and got back into it and really got excited about the story and about the gameplay. I think the end of the expansion, the whole later part of the expansion was really good. And that kind of got me excited again. And of course, the later part of the main story was also really, really good. I think it would have been best if I had played through it in one continuous go. If I had not stopped in the beginning and kept playing with Seraphina and played through and not without a big huge break in between, I don't think I would have gotten so burnt out on it like that. I don't know why I stopped. Well, it's all part of my fucking illness, really. I stopped because I didn't want to stream anymore. And I was streaming the game, so I didn't want to stream anymore because I was depressed and I was messed up, and I get into this phase sometimes where I can't handle doing anything involving other people or being social. And that's what happened, so that's why I stopped. I'm glad I came back. I'm super glad that I came back and started it over and finished the playthrough. The White March contribute to burnout? Maybe. I guess it's just because there was so much. And how you doing? Good to see you, SPQR. Long, very long Roman numeral there. Good to see you. How are you? Yeah, it might have. I don't know. I didn't feel like playing it. I just didn't feel like playing it. But that changed, and by the time we got to the end, I was really into it again. And I loved the ending. I loved it. I loved the game. It was a great game. Playing on Path of the Damned, or even sometimes on hard, there were times when the game was really hard, particularly on Path of the Damned. I don't think I would ever play through it on Path of the Damned again, or even on hard. Is that 1986? Is that what that is? I don't know. I don't know Roman numerals well enough. I would play through the game again, though, absolutely. I want to. I want to play through it again and take different companions with me the next time so that I can see different parts of their story. But if I play through it again, I'll probably play through it on easy, because I don't want to grind through tons of hard-ass combats. I mostly want to see different story stuff, so I'd probably play through it again on easy. But it's a great game. I mean, what we have here is a game truly created as a spiritual successor and in the style of the Infinity Engine games. It could be best described as a Baldur's Gate-like, if you had to put a specific sort of subgenre on it. You know, like they have roguelikes and they have Diablo-likes. This is a Baldur's Gate-like. It's based on those games. And those games, all of those games, started with Baldur's Gate, so I think it's really good, though. I mean, aside from Planescape Torment, which of course is the greatest game of all time, this is the best Baldur's Gate-like, I think. I think it's better than Baldur's Gate, and Baldur's Gate 2, and Icewind Dale, and Icewind Dale 2. I think it's better than those games. I think the mechanics they developed for this are really good, really solid. The classes they built are really cool and have lots of varied abilities. The graphics, the art, the animation, all of that, as well as, of course, the music, the writing, the voice acting. Super good. I thought the overall story of the game was great. I like their setting. Now, honestly, this isn't one of my favorite settings, though. This setting itself, you know, that they created here, with the lore of it. Now, I started to like the lore of it more toward the end, when you started learning a whole bunch of stuff about the gods and, like, the mysteries of the setting. Then I started to like it more. But just, especially toward the beginning and overall, the setting, I don't like it as much as, say, the Forgotten Realms, or Eberron, or Dark Sun, or the Thedas. You know, I don't like it as much as the setting of the Dragon Age games. So there's lots of other fantasy settings that I think I like better than this. Oh, this is going to go on for a while. The Kickstarter backers. My name will be in there somewhere. I don't remember if it'll say Fire Snake Ares or it'll say Josiah. I don't remember which one it'll say, but it'll be in there somewhere. So the setting itself is really well developed. Okay, it's a good setting. It's a well developed, well written setting with lots of thought that went into it and lots of detail. But personally, I didn't find it a super compelling setting. And even the whole central conflict in the social structure of the game of you know, animancy versus technology. Like, okay, the game is set right on the edge of the technological revolution, and guns are being developed and so forth, and then there's sort of the science of the animancy and people, animancy versus faith. All of that is interesting, but it didn't really grab me. It didn't really pull me in like some of the details of other settings have. But I still recognize that it was very well done. The story itself, though, within that setting was great. I liked the characters. I liked the overall plot of the game, and I felt that it was very long. The game gave me plenty of content, that's for sure. It'll be in this section probably, Saito, because I wasn't one of the gold level backers or whatever. I think I was just a normal backer. I think I backed this game to the tune of $80 for whatever I got for that. I got my $80 worth, I can tell you that right now, because this playthrough took for fucking ever. I mean, we're over 250 hours. That's not even a joke. We're over 250 hours at this point. That's not even included. That's just in the playthrough that's been recorded. That's not included the other 50 hours I spent replaying through the first part of the game, not on stream, to get Katie up to the same point that Seraphina was. So really, I'm over 300 hours into this game. So I certainly got my money's worth. I felt that the amount of content was huge and more than I was expecting. I thought because this game was kickstarted that it was going to be much smaller. Now again, I'm including with the expansion. With the expansion, it's that much content. Even without the expansion though, it's got a lot of content, a lot of zones, a lot of areas, a lot of quests. And Buddha apparently backed this game. That's a big deal. I wonder how much Buddha put up for it. So the size of the game was very satisfying. There was a lot to do and a lot of dialogue, a ton of dialogue, and I love that. I mean, there can't be too much dialogue for me in a game. There can't be. There is no such thing as too much dialogue for me in a game. And there was lots of good choices and lots of times when your different character elements would enter into the dialogue, like your background, your race, your class, your stats, your reputation stuff, all of that, and I love that. That was all really well done and very satisfying for me. Because a lot of games skimp on that, and they give you very minimal dialogue, even though they say they're an RPG. And so I loved that aspect of it, and I thought all the dialogue was really well written, and there was lots of great characters. Then you come to the companion characters. I loved them. They were great. I mean, some of them interested me less than others, you know? I didn't particularly get into Sagani or Zahua or Maneha. But the others I think the others were all pretty fascinating. I didn't really get super into Aloth either, because I generally just aren't I'm just generally not that into wizards, the wizard type, but he was really interesting with his split soul and the dual personality and all that. And of course he was voiced by Matt Mercer, who's amazing and the best male voice actor there is as far as I'm concerned, who also voiced Adair. But there were characters that I just loved. I fell in love with Adair, and I thought he was going to be the boring guy at first, right? Because if you look at him on paper, he should be the boring guy. He's the human male fighter. That's it. That's the most boring thing you can be in an RPG, right? But he wasn't boring. He had all these funny, clever things to say, and his personality was kind of complex, and he had his own stuff going on with his crisis of faith and his guilt over his brother, and I mean, I thought he was great. I loved Adair. I loved the Grieving Mother. Grieving Mother was Chris Avalone's character that he wrote. So of course she was very interesting. And Kana was pretty cool. I liked him, but I didn't fall in love with him. Loved Devil of Karok though. Loved her. She was awesome. Really creative character there. Pallegina, loved her. Loved Pallegina. She's one of my favorites. So, all the characters were well done, though, and they all had plenty of stuff to say. They all had plenty of backstory and motives and complicated bits to their personalities. I mean, none of them felt half-assed. None of them felt like they were just thrown in there. Even the ones in the expansion, all of them felt well-developed. Maybe the least developed of all of them was Maneha, I suppose, and her quest was the least developed as well. And her voice acting didn't seem to fit what she was supposed to be. So she's probably the worst. The worst of all the companions was probably Maneha. And I would say Sagani might be the second worst, personally. Whereas like Grieving Mother, Pallegina, Devil of Karok, Adair are the ones I would say are the best. Durance was cool though. Durance was detailed and and interesting. But anyway, so the companions were really good. I didn't get as emotionally attached to these companions as I did in some games like Dragon Age Origins or Planescape Torment, or to some of the side characters in Alpha Protocol. But I did like them very much. I mean, this game didn't have any romances or anything, so there wasn't that sort of a relationship between the player and even in the end, when you see what happens to all the companions, and I loved that. I loved that they went into that much detail on what happened with each companion, and I loved that not all the companions got a happy ending. Some of them got a very good ending, very happy for them, and some of them got a very sad ending. And I felt that that was realistic. Like, the events of the game affected each of them differently, and it wasn't all just universally good. And I know some of those endings could have been different if I had made different choices, but just the endings that we got, I liked that some of them, you know, had a bittersweet ending that made you feel bad, and some of them had a, oh, that's good, you know? Like, I felt really good about Adair getting to be the mayor of the town and making the town really good and everything and becoming a leader and all that. I felt that that was a really good, appropriate ending for him, whereas the endings for Grieving Mother and Devil of Karak were very poignant, and Sagani, they had very sad endings. Whereas, like, Kana had sort of a mixed ending. It was sad in that he went back with all of his hopes had been crushed. Everything that he intended to do with his life and this study that he thought was going to be the hope of his people and was crushed. And so he went back with this sadness in him, and yet he ended up getting respect and stuff among his people. So his was kind of a mixed blessing. But I loved the endings. I mean, all the stuff, the endings for the like, that didn't relate to the companions, just that this is what happened in this area as a result. Some of those were surprising. You know, I thought siding with the Dozens was going to be a smart thing to do, and yet siding with the Dozens kind of screwed everybody over. Because it said it's ultimately the Dozens didn't have what it took to lead the city. And so the city descended into chaos and problems because I sided with the Dozens. That's one of those things where you're like, oh shit, you know? I didn't know. Durance is shitty no matter what. Either he becomes a dude obsessed with revenge or he burns himself alive. Whoa, burns himself alive. Wow, that's pretty intense. But the ending was huge for me. I loved it. I felt like the ending battle was kind of ridiculously easy, but that's probably just because I was leveled up to 16 from the expansion and, you know, whatever. I think as an RPG on the mechanical side, this game very much delivers. If you want to build a party and optimize your characters and come up with your tactics and play this thing on Path of the Damned and have to do all of the thinking and the analyzing of the system and the tactics, this game offers shitloads of tactical battles for you, many of which are quite difficult, and very complex character classes with lots of abilities, so you could really build your party out and have lots of variety there. So as a mechanical RPG, it delivers in spades. I think it delivers in that respect more so than any of the Baldur's Gate likes, including Planescape Torment, or maybe any RPG that I've ever played, except possibly like Divinity Original Sin. On the story side of it, it delivers as well. It doesn't have the best plot of any RPG I've ever played. It doesn't have the best characters of any RPG I've ever played. It doesn't have the best writing, but it has very solid plot and characters and writing, better than most games I've played. So, overall, anybody that likes RPGs, I would say they should definitely play this. It is well worth your time. You will get your money's worth out of it, guaranteed. And yet, it's not an easy game. It's a dense game. It's dense in terms of combat and the tactics required, and it's dense in terms of all the lore and reading and dialogue and stuff. So I would say this game's not for everybody in that sense. People that just like more casual, lighthearted, or more action-focused games without a lot of you know, thinking and reading involved, they might not like this game. But people that like traditional kind of dense RPGs should love this game, because it's an extremely well done example of a dense RPG. Did anybody see my name in there? I wasn't paying enough attention during the F's and the J's to see if I was in there. I mean, I had to have been in there, but I just didn't notice. I wasn't really watching close enough. I was thinking about what I was saying. So, wow. Great game. And this playthrough was so long. And I've been playing it, you know, not only long in terms of the number of hours I played, but also in terms of the amount of time that's passed since I started it, because I took so many, like, months off from not playing it. Just feels like I've had Pillars of Eternity on my plate for such a long time. And it is a relief and a joy to have it finally be done, and to be able to say, okay, boom, Pillars of Eternity playthrough complete, with the expansion. On the other hand, I'm gonna miss it. I feel like I'm gonna miss it. Now that it's over, I'm kind of sad in a way as well. I mean, I'm relieved and glad that it's over, but I'm also kind of sad that it's done, that, you know, I'm really looking forward to the sequel now. I know they're working on a sequel to it. They didn't officially confirm it, but they basically hinted at it, that they were. The ending leaves interesting things up in the air for what the sequel could be like. I have a feeling that the main character in the sequel will not be the PC from this game. Yeah, additional backers. These must be the people that... Well, I don't know. These must be people that backed later, like that Slacker backed on the website and didn't back during the actual campaign or whatever. Yeah, I mean, nobody really... You can tell that the relationships between the companions and the main character were not very deep, because none of the companions stuck around with the main character. Every one of them in their ending, they all left. They all went off to do their own thing. And I don't know if there's any choices you could have made during the game where that would be different, but every single one of them went about their life and did their own thing, which in a way is kind of sad as well. You know, they're all gone. So if they had a sequel and you played the same character, would any of those characters come back? Or would it be a whole new set of companions? It would be sad if there was a sequel and none of those characters came back. But, it could be cool anyway. They'll always leave. Okay, so anyway, that's it. That's Pillars of Eternity. That is a 200 and... Well, I can figure it out right now. I believe I had 176 hours in of playthrough on the Seraphina part. And as you can see, we just chalked up another 143 hours. That's at the last save, plus the time of the ending and all, you know, whatever else. So that's like another hour almost, probably. So what was it, 176 and 143? Wow, that's crazy. That's like 330 hours. This is a 330-hour playthrough. Whoa. I did not expect it to be that long. When I started this, I remember saying something like, this will probably be like 200 hours. And at the time, I wasn't sure if I was just being optimistic or not, you know, like hoping the game would be that long. The fact that I got 330 hours out of it, again, plus my like 55 hours, because if you go down here to where here, this is my save where I started as Katie in the streaming and YouTubing, 55 hours in. So I have that 55 hours on top of the 330 hours of the actual playthrough. So I'm 285 hours into this game. And that's for essentially one playthrough. I mean, it's part of a second playthrough, but you know what I mean. Only one getting to the end. Which is nuts. Yeah, I know, Saito. It is weird for this now to be over. It is weird. Pillars of Eternity. Done. So hopefully Tyranny will be similarly compelling and awesome. I will certainly be playing it. And of course, Torment Tides of Numenera. When that comes out, that could be another 50-hour stream right there. Because I will be so fucking excited for that game, you don't even know. I will be playing the shit out of that. But Tyranny too. I'm super excited for Tyranny. And whenever the sequel to this game comes out, you can definitely know that I will be playing it eagerly. And, you know, streaming it, recording it on YouTube, all that, obviously. Yeah, it did live up to its name. And it lived up to the promises they made in the Kickstarter campaign. You know, some Kickstarter games, they end up being disappointing. Like, they say they were going to make this kind of game, but then they didn't really pull it off. I'll tell you, this game pulled it the fuck off. They delivered what they said they were going to deliver in the Kickstarter campaign. They did. They did. I can't see any backer of this being disappointed. Now, I know that realistically, I'm sure there are people out there that were disappointed because they would have wanted some particular feature or something and didn't get it, or whatever. Maybe some people just didn't like the story or didn't like the characters. You know, you never know. There's always going to be people that don't like something, no matter how good it is. So, but I feel like, from my perspective, there's no disappointment here whatsoever. The $80 that I put into this, you know, years before it came out, turned out to be, in my opinion, completely worth it, and I'm very glad that I backed it. It didn't feel like a Kickstarted game. It felt like a AAA game to me, you know? Like a AAA RPG to me. And I'm so glad that they brought back this style of RPG, the isometric RPG with shit tons of dialogue and dialogue choices. Not just a stupid little wheel where you can pick between 3 things every time. But like legit dialogue choices, you know? I'm looking at you, Dragon Age 2 and 3. In fairness, though, Alpha Protocol is my second favorite game, and it just has a little dialogue wheel with a few choices as well, but that's because it's going for a more cinematic thing, and I guess that's the same thing with the later Dragon Age games and Mass Effect games. They're going for a more cinematic thing, and I can respect that, and I can enjoy those cinematic-type dialogues as well, with all of the, you know, animations and everything. I mean, that's how it is in The Witcher 3 as well, but I like having the deep dive dialogues where you can really go into it and have a conversation that lasts for a really long time, where they come at you with just like wall after wall of text after wall of text, and you can sit there with those like 6, 8, 10 dialogue options, and you've got to, like, you know what I mean? I love that. I love that. And that kind of game hasn't been around for a while, so I'm glad they brought it back. And I'm looking forward to all the new games that are coming out in this style, i.e. Tyranny, Pillars of Eternity 2, Tides of Numenera, Torment, Tides of Numenera. That Torment is very important. So, it's not one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, Pillars of Eternity, but it might make it into the top 10. Loved the ending so much. A lot of games let you down at the ending. They do. This one, though, definitely did not. That is how you do an ending for a long, big RPG, folks. That was correctly done, in my opinion. So I loved it. Good job, Obsidian. Glad I backed it. Would recommend it to anyone who likes RPGs, particularly dense, heavy dialogue, heavy mechanics RPGs like this. And, I guess it's over. I guess we're done. This video is going to be an hour and a half long, which is considerably over, but that's okay, considering it's the last one. And, yeah, we're finally done with Pillars of Eternity. I can't even believe it. If anybody watched this whole playthrough, now I'm speaking to my YouTube viewers here, and I think I'm even speaking to Saito, because you've actually watched the whole thing, haven't you? You people are crazy, and thank you for watching this entire playthrough. You obviously must have enjoyed it to have watched 330 hours? To have watched 330 hours of me playing this game. You obviously enjoyed it, and I'm glad. And I hope the ending lived up to everything you were hoping for. But, thank you for watching all of this. You are crazy people. Because I've watched some playthroughs. I like to watch other, I like to watch Let's Plays, but I've never watched one anywhere near that long. If somebody, even my favorite Let's Player, my favorite Let's Player is probably Lumen, Tales of Lumen. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, check it out. It's just Tales of Lumen. Lumin, all one word. He's probably my favorite Let's Player, and if he had a 330-hour Let's Play, I probably wouldn't watch it. I'd be like, nope, I can't sign up for that. That's too much. So, anyway, it's finally over. Yay! Up next, the big game in my future is Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Hope everybody wants to watch that. It's obviously a very different kind of game than this. But I have a Deus Ex Human Revolution playthrough on my channel. Anybody that watched that and liked it should obviously be watching me play Deus Ex: Mankind Divided as well. And then after that's done, a huge game that's going to be another ludicrous length playthrough, and that is going to be The Witcher 3. Again, quite different in style from this game, but another amazing RPG. And I can't wait. Yes, and I'll be delving into Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition in the future. And by in the future, I mean like tomorrow. But not guaranteeing that I'm doing a full playthrough of that. I'm just going to try it out and see if it pulls me in or not. Anyway, that's it. We're done. Thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Pillars of Eternity.